So what actually happened?
Give me the answer.
Yes, I understand. We know social media
I
is
suddenly
like
became the
ruining
quickest
our lives.
reader. Yeah.
Welcome to the Zest Method channel. I'm Amelia, an ex-army doctor and founder of a preventative medicine coaching business called, you guessed it, the Zest Method. I have an insatiable curiosity about the subconscious mind and self-betterment, and so I'm hoping to, through this medium, share what I learn and hopefully help humans feel better, not perfect.
Well, am I allowed to reference this book in this episode?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's move on to... This is the book we keep referring to.
4,000 Weeks. Time Management for Mortals by Oliver Burkeman.
Yeah. So, in summary, growth mindset is the perception you have to challenge and the goal, that you enjoy the journey along the way. So actually when you reach the goal, the most enjoyable part has been the journey to get there.
Yes.
Whereas at the moment, everyone is doing it in reverse, myself included.
So you're struggling to enjoy the journey and are very focused on the outcome.
Yeah. Which of course we've all been there. We've all got to the end of medical school and think, now I'll be happy. And once I become a junior doctor, then I'll be happy. Once I get into a one-bed flat, live by myself, then I'll be happy. And it honestly doesn't make you any happier.
Yeah.
To some degree.
Yeah.
That would be my summary piece.
I bought this for you, didn't I? Or have you read it? No, I bought it for me, but you'd read it.
Yes.
That's what happened.
My housemate, she bought it for me, and
Yeah.
I couldn't believe how perceptive she was. I was like, this is for me. I need this in my life. She smashed it.
So I don't know about you, but my reason for wanting to read that, having read the title, was that I wanted to know, I mean, as he's probably very correctly doing so that this book sells, is that I wanted to figure out how to use my 4,000 weeks most efficiently to get the best life possible.
No way. I bet you had a horrible shock.
Yeah. What was the reason that you picked it up?
Well, it was bought for me, so I was like, I have to, out of guilt, I was like, I have to read this.
But what did you expect from the title?
I suppose in a way, I actually probably didn't think about it that deeply. I was like, let's just pick up the book and begin reading. I was like, oh, underline. But I suppose in a way I was like, oh, how...
you're taking notes.
Yeah,
exactly right. You were taking notes. You were like, I have to know what to do.
Yeah, I think I just was like, oh, it's going to make me more efficient. But I did question because I am very efficient. All my friends like Amelia, all the people who've got time management skills. Yeah. That's number one on my CV. That is just underlined, title, bold. Like if you hire me, everything's going to be very hyper organised. Yeah. So for me, I was like, oh, is it going to give me extra tips to be even more efficient? So maybe we had the similar assumptions incorrect.
Well, it's 4,000 weeks, so it's like either you get, oh my god, we only have 4,000 weeks, or oh wow, I have loads. Was it that? I thought we had like way less. And then it's time management for mortals, so it's like time management. Okay, how do I use my time? Mortals of like, this mortal life. So that's what I got from the title. It kind of created a sense of like, urgency and like, okay, he's gonna give me the answers, which I think is what we search for a lot in these self-development books. Like answers, give me all the answers. I feel like that's just the human condition.
I don't want to do the work, but I just want to be told the answer, the quick pill.
Yeah, exactly. We want it as quickly as possible.
It's like once I read this book, everything
will become clear.
I'll be so organised, even more organised.
So what actually happened when I read this book was it's compartmentalized into kind of part A and part B, which is basically all the problems and all the difficulties with time management, and you're kind of reading through this like, yes, I know, I agree. Like social media and loads of other bits in there, and and you're kind of bracing yourself and like skimming through it to be like, okay, now what do we do?
Give me the answer. I know. Yeah, I definitely did that. I suddenly,
like, okay, yes, I understand. We know social media.
I suddenly
like
became the quickest reader. Yeah.
Part 2. Okay, here we go. We're holding on to our seats.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
I got my pen ready. Not that way you hold pens like that. Weirdo. Oh.
And the answer is, there's no answer.
I know. Actually, I disagree, but I will say my piece in a minute.
Yeah.
I disagree.
So essentially that life is challenges and that we have got to figure out the best way to enjoy and cope with those challenges. I mean,
were you really disappointed?
I wasn't disappointed. It was more of a slow come down to a like a sort of stoic realization of like, yes.
I came crashing down to earth for that realization.
Yeah. And I had this realization before, but I keep reading, and it's that most of the self-help advice you need for life can be summarized into around 20 to 30 steps or things, and it all comes down, to a couple of things. So, which he then went on to discuss, because he's got this last like 2 or 3 pages in the book where he gives you 10 things of like how to manage your time and live your life well. So going back to what you said, I think it's like what he said, challenges are going to exist, the challenge of like wanting to achieve things, because that's also part of the human condition. I feel like, once you've conquered one level of the pyramid of the hierarchy of needs, you're on to the next one. And, we're in a very privileged position where we're at the top. And so
there's nowhere left to go.
In this area of the world, we're just worrying about self-actualization, all of those things, and having a fulfilling life, which is a very privileged position.
Charlotte's referencing Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
That's my take on it, is that you'll always kind of be looking to achieve, whether it's achieving or some other kind of goals.
Looking for the next thing.
Yeah, looking for the next thing, versus enjoying the journey and just trying, which is essentially being present and doing things that you love to do. So, for example, if you don't enjoy hill sprints, it's going to be quite difficult to enjoy the journey of hill sprints. So find something that you love, but then if there are goals that you want, like, you want to build more muscle, or you want to have better endurance, cardiovascular endurance, then you pick the training that you need to do because you want that goal. Maybe you don't enjoy it, but you want the goal enough that you put yourself through that journey.
Yeah.
But putting yourself, and that's part of this whole goal setting thing, it's like, okay, well, where do I want to go and what will I enjoy? And putting yourself through that journey instead and making wise decisions about that. It's like me pulling out my stroke application and going for the sports and exercise medicine.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, we know you're not going to enjoy that journey.
That was
you think you want that goal,
so
you think you want
that.
it, and you've had it for a long, long time, but you won't enjoy the journey. So what are you doing? Yeah. And I think, so that's my answer.
Nice. Okay, that's not long-winded at all. No, I like that. There's something, I like the fact that we're at the top of this pyramid. And there was my friend said to me the other day, she's younger than us, but very, very ambitious, already launched her own business, etc. And she never takes time to reflect on how well she's doing at such a young age. Mm-hmm. And it took her boyfriend to say, very wise from him as well. I was like, you two are so wise. I definitely wasn't that at age 22. That you're so busy climbing stairs for once, instead of looking at the next step, why don't you just look at the staircase behind you? And I just thought that was a really good way, because actually we'll have a long, long stairwell behind us, but do we ever... And it's not about self-congratulation of, oh God, look how great I am. But actually sometimes it is probably important for all of us to look back and think, oh, actually I have come a really long way. Let's maybe not even just slow down the tempo, but do you even need to take the next step? I mean, otherwise it would just get exhausting, because we've all been on the step, the step challenge. I like that a lot. And so the reason why I disagreed with you earlier is because for me, I quite liked, you said no answer, but the answer I actually saw and got from was, you have just got to work on the discomfort muscle. Because being at the top of this hierarchy of needs, we have now live a very, very comfortable life that we don't like discomfort anymore. And so we just go for the quick fix, the pill, the quick answer, the dopamine hit, the swipe, the click, the clickbait, because it's just we want to escape discomfort. And that discomfort of ours, that muscle, has grown really, really weak. And so I really liked the analogy in the book where he used actually, just imagine viewing that discomfort muscle as your bicep. That if we want a bigger biceps, that you obviously train it. So working on maybe not getting your to-do list completed and feeling and really sitting in the mud with that and how uncomfortable it feels to get to the end of the day and you haven't got to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
I actually saw that as the answer. I was like, oh. And it was such a complete different perspective because I too went into it thinking, I'm pretty efficient already, but I wonder whether I can be even more efficient. And I just liked how the fact that he said that's just a fool's game. Yes. Like, Amelia, it felt as if he was speaking to me. I was like, Amelia, you'll never get to the bottom of your to-do list. Yeah. And it's whether you're okay with that. And in a way, is that the worst thing in the world? Yeah. No. And so we even were speaking this morning on my balcony with sort of the sun coming down. And it is the simple things in life, and regularly practicing gratitude that makes you think actually there are bigger worries in life. But it's the reason why I wanted to bring in this book as well, but it was also links into the previous episode's content about life design. And now I'm going to answer your question about how I did design my life. That beforehand, and maybe I don't know whether you have the same system, but I definitely had to-do lists where it was just lists of bullet points.
Yep, I'm still there.
Yeah, okay. And I'm sure everyone else has the same, where all you do is just add another bullet point, and it seems to just never end. And then you have to-do lists of to-do lists.
Yep.
And I used to find that very stressful, but also quite exciting and dopamine hit. I get quite addicted to it, that I couldn't wait to tick off one of the bullet points, even though I'd replace it with 3 more. And so after reading this book and speaking to my counsellor, or she's basically a career coach, but she's poor woman, she's become my counsellor, is this notion which I was introduced to before, and I really do recommend you implement it. It's been a game changer for my stress levels. Is you return to school, you have a school timetable, a timetable of the week. And so every single Monday, every single Tuesday, it doesn't exactly have to have the exact same blocks or hours repeating each week, even though it helps for me to have a bit of continuity. But every single hour has a block in it. And for me, that has allowed me to insert a lot of me time and self-care into those blocks. Because I bet you don't put self-care as a bullet point necessarily. I bet your bullet points don't say, go for a walk now. Whereas I'll know from 9 till 11, I've got my entrepreneurial stuff I have to do. That is the only window of opportunity for either that week or that day that I've got to do my business stuff. Yeah. And not only does it make me more productive, but then when I don't get to the end of the bits I really want to do within those 2 hours, tough.
Yep.
Because it's now a walk time.
Yeah.
I've got to take myself for a walk. Yeah. And then now schedule time for lunch. It sounds so arbitrary, fundamental, basic, but I can't tell you how much that has really helped, because then I've managed to design my life where every single day is constructed really quite close to what I would like to live my life if I didn't have to work, but I still would work. That it's the self-care routine in the morning. It's a little bit of work and challenge and purpose. Get some outside nature. Your first light in the morning, last light at night, lots of walks, breaks, and then networking connection. All in one day. But because it's scheduled at this timetable, then I get a lot of stuff done, but I don't get everything done. And because of that book, I'm now okay with that. And for me, that's what's been the biggest shift, is I'm now getting much better at tolerating that discomfort of knowing I'm never going to get everything done. And that's why that book was so sort of fundamental for me. And I'm so acutely aware that this is really like first world problems. Like how to sort your to-do list. It really is. This episode is basically like that. But it's just really helped me. And so I keep telling my friends, all my friends who I know are a bit like me, type A personalities, go-getters, they really have a lot of things on the to-do list they'd like to achieve, that when you put each bullet point into a block, and then you don't complete that bullet point in that block, you then just select a time to put it into the next block another time, and move on to the next thing. So that's just my insights as to what's really worked for me. That's why I'm sharing it today, because after that book and speaking with other people, it's a system that now works incredibly well for me, and I don't have any to-do list anymore, which is lovely.
So because I use mine, I'm pretty sure I have ADHD. Not that it matters hugely to me whether I get found out about that or not, but I think of things and immediately I have to write it in my like to-do list to remember it.
Yeah.
So what do you do? So if you're in my position,
in the holding period,
yeah, so that you don't then forget to then do it, because I just have this master to-do list where everything I'm thinking of goes in it.
Yeah.
And then I'll intermittently move those into, some kind of schedule.
Okay, so you do have a scheduled timetable.
Sort of, not quite as
militant,
I think. Yeah, I think listening to you and reflecting on your kind of not counter argument, but what you got from the book. I think it was the fact that I kind of went, oh, there is no answer. because I kind of already knew it. I kind of already knew what he was saying, and it was, I think it's, for me, it's more the execution of the things that matter.
Yeah.
Which is the hardest part.
Yeah. It's interesting how we perceive the book very differently. So you probably felt deflated after part 2. I was like, sort of aha moment.
Yes.
Because I've never seen it that way. So to answer your question, at the from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m, I have LADMIN, which I call life admin.
Yeah.
So in the LADMIN box, I put any thoughts that I want to process.
Okay, fine.
So for the day that throughout the whole of Monday, we all have. Oh, I need to think of this. Or I need to do
and
this.
This is on your phone calendar.
Yes.
And
I'll open my Apple calendar quite literally.
Okay, and it's on the notes section.
Yeah, I'll select that box.
Okay.
Edit.
And then you put
just for that day only, because it's on repeat each week. Labmin. 5 to 6 till 7, and I enter those thoughts of the day. So by the time it comes to 6 p.m, where I tuck into my Labmin time, then I delegate, and wherever it needs to go. If it can be done in 2 minutes, my rule is get it done now. Don't procrastinate.
Touch things once. Yeah.
Get it done. Because normally that hour for me to do all that admin is actually quite a lot of time. There's nothing else delegated in that time. But then if I can't get it done, or I know, this is a Friday's task, I then put it into a designated block somewhere in my Friday. And if it can't be done then I'll move it to the next week, and so on and so forth. So, of course, if it's more urgent, I'll put it perhaps into the LADMIN the next day, and then something in a couple of weeks' time. But that's how it works. Okay. So I literally had to get my career coach to spell this out to me. I was like, what happens when I get to the edge of the block and I haven't completed all the tasks in it? And she said, you just move it to the next one.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, cool. So if that helps, because it's these small things that just really helped clear my mind, and never have to. I now never use Notes app. It's just, but my screen time for the diary is sky high. But then it's not on TikTok or Instagram.
But that's the replacement for our school timetables, isn't it?
Yes, because up until I think 2 years ago, I was all paper.
Yeah, same.
And then every time I did love it, but then it came to the point where I couldn't take my diary with me everywhere. It would look a bit tragic. So then, even worse, it's the phone.
I wonder if the tides will turn and people will start, bringing paper back.
Well, they did say that there is a real skill beginning to lose by not writing.
Yes.
Because I remember we used to have the ink cartridges, and my hand strength was very strong. Whereas now, if I have to write anything in my journal, I'm like, ow. I mean, it should be stronger, but...
It's like in exams, if you were writing out something, on your English exam or something, and you had to,
Religious studies was like, I need to write so fast. And then at the end of the hour, I'd be like,
I just wanted to point out something for anyone at the beginning of their self-love journey that you said, which is essentially what I call, and I'm sure I've got that from somewhere else, probably like Matthew Hussey or somewhere, but it's keep appointments with yourself.
Nice.
And that's how that's where you start from. If you're at rock bottom, you start to develop your self-respect and self-love by keeping appointments with yourself, whether that's the gym, or going for your morning walk, your evening routine, the way that you show respect to yourself. Then that when you go into dating, for example, you don't then start doing everything somebody else wants you to, or changing all of your interests because someone else, you know, you want someone else to like you. You keep appointments with yourself and you respect yourself and who you are. So I love that you mentioned that as part of your scheduling, because it may, you know, it may seem like, you know, that's just integrated now into your life, but, you know, for anyone who is at that feeling at their rock bottom and feeling like they haven't got a sense of self, low self-confidence, keeping appointments with yourself, whatever that looks like to you, is so important for building that confidence back up.
No, definitely, because I sound as if I'm the finished product. I am, but it has taken me about 2 years once I... really. It has taken me 12, no, that's a bit of exaggeration, but 2 years once I became aware of the fact that my schedule was so busy, I was getting really stressed. It then took me 2 years to inbuild this timetable and get used to the system. But then even when I initially built the timetable, it was just full of work. And then social commitments, which social commitments is, which I saw as fun, which it is, but that's also stressful for the body if it happens every single night. There's a lot of people we're in London, there's so many people to see, there's so many things to do. And so my career coach turned around and said, I'm looking at your timetable, Amelia. I'm not seeing any me time. Yeah. And I was like, but you know, I don't need that. I'm young. I can do everything. I'll sleep when I'm dead. The classic helpful thought process. And she said, no, this really needs to be inbuilt in there. And that's where it's now come that the life I have now designed through this timetable is now the life I envisage in 10 years' time when I visualize. There's not much difference. The difference is the work I do. That'll be different. Yes. That it won't be the clinical stuff. It'll be coaching. Yeah. But that was for me. Critical. I think a real game changer. But
that me time that she mentioned, what you've cultivated sounds like a combo of things that you love, but also things that you know you need to do and want to do for your health, or you know, for your own personal goals. It sounds like a mixture of the two.
I suppose. I mean, anything in nature, a walk, to me, that isn't I have to do this. But some people can't even do that because they have to be on their phone and listen to a podcast. It's something I've actually now removed. Yeah. Almost not as punishment, but now every time I go for a walk, I don't listen to anything. Yeah. I only save podcasts or audiobooks to public transport.
Like some people would call that raw dogging.
Yeah, what a frightful term.
Just raw dog to walk to the park.
Yeah, this
really? Whoa, okay.
I know, because apparently it's so out there to do nothing but be with your own thoughts. It has to now have a term. Yeah. Raw dogging. First of all, who came up with that awful term?
I know. But and the fact that it's just used, like, just going to use that term. Like, okay.
So I'm basically a raw dogger. And I'm really good at it.
I love that.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. I don't. That licks...
That's your nickname. Yeah. Raw dogger.
That just makes me feel sick. Nauseous, in fact. Okay, so we haven't followed my notes at all, and we've got 2 minutes left. I mean, this is how professional the podcast is. It's a letter from Dexter's that I've scribbled on the back of. So there's a couple of quotes that I'm going to read out that we may not have time to discuss, but we've touched upon these. Busyness becomes the emblem of prestige, which I agree with, because suddenly it's in and it's cool. To be a workaholic is something not to be frowned upon. You sort of show off with it. I certainly really felt well accomplished by being busy. And my father told me a really good quote. I think that he'd been told. I don't think he made it up. Where he said, "Don't mistake
a full calendar for a full life." Nope.
No, that's a good one. He said, "Don't mistake activity for productivity." Okay. And I was very busy with a lot of unhelpful or useless tasks, but I felt because I was so busy, I was so important.
Yeah, I'm busy.
Yes. So I wore it as a sort of use of pride. And the modern era has created this anxiety-inducing notion of when I just get everything done, I'll be... Definitely been there. Definitely been there. Oh, when I just get to the bottom of my to-do list, then I can relax. So basically, merely that's you saying you're never, ever going to relax. Because have you ever got to the bottom of your to-do list, really? Yeah. You have? No, you have.
Oh, no, sorry, that's just
Charlotte switched off. She knows it's 30 seconds left. Okay, I really wanted to finish this. We've got 29 seconds. This is stressful. Is read a quote from the book.
Also, no.
Yeah.
Just for the record.
Okay.
Except for when I split it between days. Okay, I've done all of Mondays. Yeah, and then that feels
right, Charlotte, we don't have time. We got 10 seconds. I didn't even have time to read the quote. So what we're going to have to do is to say, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank
and
you.
You're going to definitely be back.
Yeah, I can't wait.